All right, here we go. Salute to NBA Nation on this Friday afternoon. Happy Friday to you guys worldwide, man. CP the franchise in the building. Joining me today, our guy Keith Smith is back. You can find him literally everywhere. You can find him on Spot Track, updating teams, cap sheets, and as well as great articles and blog posts. And also on the Front Office podcast with our guy Trevor Lane, breaking down the latest NBA trade rumors, transactions, you name it. He's covering it soup to nuts, man. Our guy Keith Smith in the building. On today's show, does LaMelo want out of Charlotte? We're going to talk about what's going down in the QC and whether or not LaMelo Ball could potentially be on the block. Plus, should the Clippers be blowing it up? Because right now, they are heading nowhere but south out there in the Western Conference after getting washed by the Orlando Magic last night. And then our top 5 worst rebuilds right now. There are a ton of teams looking at some really tough times right now. So we're going to rank which ones are the worst all the way to the best. So lock in, hit the like button, hit the share button, and subscribe to the channel. And here we go. Keith, how you doing, man? Happy Friday.
I'm
man.
doing good, man. Thanks, man. Yeah, I'm excited. It's start of a holiday week down here. Our daughter's off school, so that makes my life simpler.
Yeah.
I can just I don't have to get up so early in the morning to get her to school. So life is good.
That's good, man. Good for you. Full house as we anticipate this Thanksgiving weekend. And hey, man, we got to take it straight to Charlotte because I don't know if it's a happy Thanksgiving down there with the Charlotte Hornets, a team who seems to be a perennial bottom dweller in the NBA. And now it's about LaMelo Ball because just yesterday, Kelly Iko of Yahoo Sports said that LaMelo is unhappy with the way things are going in Charlotte and would welcome a trade. Well, LaMelo Ball met with the media, I believe it was today or yesterday, and addressed it. So I'm going to play the soundbite, and then I want to get your reaction to it after this. Here we go.
I know you saw that article from Yahoo that said you're growing increasingly frustrated and we're open to a trade. So I saw you repost. Yeah. Reposted. What are your thoughts on that?
You never heard that come from me. Source is not from me. Just false info. Gotta let them know. I really don't like commenting back on stuff.
All right, so the background was just kind of overpowering, but he basically denied it. Said he never heard that from me. I don't like that type of report. Never came from me. And he says he's happy in Charlotte. So what did you make of the news when it came out and LaMelo's reaction?
Yeah, it's funny, right? We grew up on NBA coverage where Peter Vesey wrote on Sundays who was unhappy.
Yeah.
Then maybe somebody asked him about it that week, and then they put it in the paper. And then the next week he'd write about the next thing.
Update. Yep.
Now it's somebody tweets and the player replies himself and calls the guy a clown. And would it have shocked me if he was unhappy? No. Right. I think we're in year 6 now of him being in Charlotte. They haven't really gone anywhere. He hasn't been healthy for a lot of that time. Wouldn't shock me if he was unhappy. But if I always take players at their word, right? If they say, no, I'm good. All right, then, let's go. Because I think these guys, they don't shy away from, they're really smart. They don't do a lot of get me out of here anymore.
Yeah.
There's no lie. Eric Bledsoe tweets that later said he was stuck at the beauty salon with his wife or something. We don't have that anymore. But guys are pretty good about saying like, yeah, I don't want to be here anymore, and in other ways where they don't get themselves fined. But yeah, Charlotte, it's tough because it feels like we're finally moving in the right direction. Their young core is kind of fun, but Brandon Miller hasn't played much, and LaMelo has missed some time again this year. I just want to see that team together to start to see, all right, does it make sense, and where are we going, moving forward?
Yeah, that's where I'm at. I mean, I'm not sure if this is, is this the front office trying to, see what they can garner out there, or kind of just putting some feelers out there, or is this LaMelo and someone from his team? Is this LeVar and LaMelo's just out there just keeping it politically correct and not wanting to ruffle feathers as it relates to tarnishing his brand? But I think the best course of action is staying the course, especially for Charlotte. You just drafted Concanoopel, who is right now a sniper in the league. Brandon Miller showing tremendous promise. We know who Miles Bridges is, a tremendously talented two-way wing. Like, they have some infrastructure right there. And if you're going to tell me, you know this college basketball scene very well. And you're looking at this draft, and we're hearing A.J. DeBonson, we're hearing Cameron Boozer, and the kid from UNC. Like, all these guys, maybe this is the year where, you know, you finally get that one pick to help, you know, just push things over the top. Like, for OKC, it was Chet, it was J-Dub, right? Like, maybe that is the case. You know, the ironic thing is that they've been in the lottery for damn near every year since 1999, Keith. They've had a top 3 pick 6 times and have never had a number 1 pick since Larry Johnson, 1991. Unbelievable.
Yeah, Grandmama back in the day, right? It was
That's my guy.
Yeah, I mean, in that Hornets team, that was they effectively ended the Celtics of my childhood, because that was Kevin McHale retired after they lost in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we lost Reggie Lewis a few months later. So it was that Hornets team was a lot of fun. This is, you know, it's funny when I talk to Hornets fans and people who cover the team, they're like, people are pretty excited. And I've been calling them the fun bad team, because they're bad, but they're in most of the games they play. The games are pretty tight. They're starting to play more, you know, reasonable basketball that makes sense and is good for competition. You mentioned Concanopel. Then you've got Ryan Kalkbrenner has played really well for them. Sion James, another draft pick, has played well. Liam McNeely hasn't really gotten going yet, but they're very high on him. So there's a lot of guys who can play on this team. And I think, my thing would be, all right, if you want to put it out there, like, hey, we're not going to hang up immediately on LaMelo Ball, but see if somebody makes you an overwhelming offer. Maybe that makes sense to move forward. But if they don't, all right, hang on. Just keep kind of building with what you got, because it's where teams get them. I know we're going to talk about rebuilding teams later, but where teams get themselves in trouble is when you get impatient, right? And it's like, let's shortcut it. Let's go do this. Let's go do that. Those rarely work out. Teams that are patient build for a few years through. But you got to get it right? And they're on a new front office. This front office is only kind of in year 2 of this process. So I'm willing to give it a little bit more time.
Yeah, they need to. And then, you know, I want to hear your thoughts on his contract situation. But when you look at him, obviously, you know, one-time All-Star, the tantalizing talent. Yes, you can question. I mean, the shot selection, the efficiency has dipped off the charts this year. So that is certainly a concern, where I think the question is, you know, is Charles Lee's new system, is that good for LeBron? It should be, as a guy who wants to play fast and wants to push the pace a little bit, but certainly the shooting numbers aren't backing it up. And then you have the injury history with the ankle. I mean, his rookie year, he plays 51 games. 75 his second year, fantastic. But then 36, 22, 47, and now he's on his way back from the same ankle injury. Can he stay on the court is a question.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing, right? Because if you can't get on the court, and I'm starting to get nervous. Brandon Miller is somebody who I really like, but I'm starting to get nervous about him with the same thing here too. And with LaMelo, it's been kind of for a while. There was the recurrence of ankle stuff, right? It was repeated ankle injuries for him. One where he made, broke a guy's ankle so bad he almost broke his own ankle and ended up out for a while. And then with Brandon Miller, though, it's just been all this different injuries and those kind of things. But with LaMelo, it's a big number, right? Because he is on the rookie max deal there. So that's the tricky part with that one. And then you've kind of got it in a position where, if you can't get on the court, you're never going to know. And I think what really ultimately kind of comes down to with LaMelo is, as you get into it, there is no bigger divide, I think, among NBA fans between those who you can almost kind of tell. The people who think this guy is like a top 10 player in the league, I think they consume the game a lot through highlights and clips and Instagram and TikTok and those kind of things. The people who watch night in, night out, they tend to have a little bit of a different feeling on him. When it looks great, it looks incredible. He makes some of the best highlight plays in the league. But then you get in these one-legged running jump shots and everything else. It's just not really winning basketball. And I think that's the tough thing for him. So I think we're just in a place where, all right, we got to kind of decide, when are you going to get on the floor, and can we win with you, or is the best thing a fresh start for everybody? And we kind of reset. That's the question Charlotte's got to be having right now.
One thing that he clearly has, look, he's a fantastic point guard, but one thing that he has that is, I think, in today's NBA, just super valuable, especially in this hyper-pacing space, is the ability to handle the ball and in an elite way. And I don't think you can look away from that, because somebody's, hey, my Knicks are kind of, that question is there, like, do they have enough ball handlers and playmakers to make that offense flow? Right now it looks fantastic, but I mean in the playoffs when things really boggle down and you need someone to make it happen when the defense is on you. That's one thing that, he has as an elite level that I don't think you can take for granted. Maybe it's a situation where it takes him a little longer to mature. Maybe it's a different coach or a more veteran savvy team to really get the best out of him.
Yeah, and it sounds a little weird to say this, but because he's got that great size and everything, and he kind of came in very hyped as a prospect, but point guards take a while. Some point guards take six. I'm making a 6-7 joke by mistake here, but they take 6, 7, 8 years to really figure it out and lock in, and sometimes that comes with a second team. We've seen that so many times in the league where the first team just kind of says, all right, we've done it. It's not happened here. Guy moves on, and the next thing you know, it's like, man, he's pretty good. And sometimes it gets to a place where, boy, they regret kind of getting rid of that guy. But yeah, it's I think with him, this is one where I think it's premature. Let's not get there today. Let's give this the rest of this season. Let's see if we can get guys healthy. We're feeling pretty good about, all right, we made a little bit of a leap. We're playing better in the second half of the year. We really have some momentum going into next season. Great. If we're in a spot where he misses a bunch more time and it's just not coming together, then I think this is a good conversation to have over the summertime, unless somebody picks up the phone and is like, hey, you want 3 first-round picks and this young guy, then I'm probably going to have to think a little bit harder about making a move today.
Yeah. I just at this point, I just can't see a team looking to do that with the contract, his availability, and lack of wins. I think to me, he's got way too much against him. Who would be your ideal team out there? I mean, is it, a lot of people say Houston, but hey, Houston seems like they're fine, just fine.
Yeah.
Number one offense.
And they'd have to give up a lot to get him, because you got to match $38 million in salary, and everybody goes to right to, all right, we'll see you send Fred VanVleet. All right, but then who's the other guy you send? Because that's not enough by himself. You got to get there. I've heard some people say that maybe this is all angling on, let's get him to the Clippers, as they maybe look to reset things. All right, I guess, that'd be an interesting spot to land in. It was funny on our front office show today. We had a lot of people saying, what about Dallas? Should Dallas go get him and pair him with Cooper Flag? And I'm like, did we forget Kyrie Irving? Like, he still exists.
Exactly.
Like, so I'm not sure that that's the move I would necessarily make, there. And that kind of speaks to, it's kind of hard, right? Because of the big number there. And if I'm a team trading for him, I know I'm going to give up a lot to get him. But not only am I going to give up a lot in terms of maybe the young player and some picks to get him, but I'm also going to have to give up a little bit of depth probably to get him too. And then what if he's not healthy? Now all of a sudden that becomes a $38 million salary hole on your books this year, approaching $40 million over the next couple of years. And then we're getting into, all right, now it's extension time. You have to be pretty locked in that you're going to make it work in a way that it hasn't worked just yet.
How much, I mean, in this apron era, it just adds another thing to think about, right? Like, you can't, it's just, to me, this is why these trades are so difficult now with these max stars, because, it's not like the old days where you just, you package up a couple guys and you make a blockbuster trade. You really have to think, what does that do for us now, next year, the year after that, and how do our books look? Are we going to tie ourselves in a knot here? There's a lot a lot of questions that need to be answered. Shout out to Ryan Animal Chuck D, $10 super chat. Casey says, salute CP and Keith. The entire league has picked up speed and collision. NBA's the new NFL. I haven't seen anything like it. 3 years ago, this game and league was different. The speed is wild to see. That's right, man. Earlier this week, we heard Steve Kerr commented on it. Today, Joe Mazzulla talked about it. They said, hey, this is why we're going 11-12 deep, because of the pace and the style of play, and we want to pick up 94 feet. Everybody's picking up 94 feet now. The Pacers, Halliburton has said as much. What's your take?
Yeah, I always say this. We all remember the 7 seconds or less Suns, right? Is this super fast team, and they did all these things. They'd be the slowest paced team in the NBA today. Like, that just tells you like how fast this game is being played now. And I think his point of the collision factor is also bigger. We're seeing guys they're faster, they're bigger, and there is more contact involved in the NBA now than there ever was. There's not the Kevin McHale clothesline and Kurt Rambis out of the air type plays.
Yeah.
I think everybody has collectively realized, like, hey, we want to have 10, 15-year careers, not 5 and 8-year careers.
Right.
With this, but the game is just played faster. It's played on. It's the court is not wider, but the game is played wider. You have to defend sideline to sideline. You have to pick up guys 35, 40 feet out because guys will pull from out there. So yeah, it's definitely a very different game now than the one kind of that even we were watching just even a decade ago. It really is something else. And I think all of the fast pace, the collisions, the start stop of the game now, where it is hard drive, stop, pull back, those things on both the offense and defense, those are all things that stress guys in different ways. And teams are also a lot more cautious now too, where all right, maybe a guy like Wemby has this calf thing. 10 years ago, it might have been, hey, can you kind of play through it? All right, play through it. Now it's like, absolutely not. Go sit. We are not going to play through any kind of injury like that because the worst thing it turns into it may be career altering injury. And in that best case, all right, maybe you end up missing, a month and a half instead of just a couple weeks. Everybody is now a lot more sensible. Let's get these things right.
For sure. And as you mentioned, injury, a couple things have come across the wire as we segue over to the Clippers. Number one, Clippers have applied, according to Jake Fisher, have applied for a disabled player exception due to losing Bradley Beal for the season. With a hip injury, the DPE would be around 2.7, half of Beal's salary. Question is, does it matter? Because right now, the Los Angeles Clippers are sitting there at 4-11 in the NBA's basement, right next to LaMelo and the Hornets and the Dallas Mavericks, all the teams that we just talked about just now. So they're sitting there, and then this was a funny tweet from Chris Mannix just now, which is like, it's funny, but it's scary as hell to think. He says, OKC is really going to win 70 games, go back-to-back, and then draft A.J. DeBonsa with the Clippers pick, aren't they? Ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, if that happens, like, just, I don't know, ship them off to something else and let them, we invent some new game where they have to play 2 or 3 teams at once. Like,
they got to,
I don't even know how you deal with it, right? I know things happen, right? No, nothing ever looks as certain as it seems, but boy, that looks pretty certain. And it is funny because I'm working on an article, it'll come out next week or maybe the week after. Things get a little weird during holiday weeks. Yeah. But basically, everybody keeps saying anytime I talk about the Thunder, well, the second apron will come for them. Not really. They set things up with that in mind. When they paid Hartenstein what they paid him, they overpaid him, knowing, I guarantee you, and then people are like, oh, that's collusion and all. It's not. It's just the way business is done. It's, hey, we'll give you $30 million for a couple years. So then when we give you 15 to 20 a couple years later to help keep our books in line, all right, cool, let's go. Yeah. Lou Dort, we overpaid you a little bit, but when we need to pay you a little less, and if something gets a little sideways, okay, good luck wherever you go next. We get player X, Y, and Z coming in the draft pipeline. I mean, they are not going anywhere anytime.
And AJ Mitchell's next, and well, not next. He's here right now and doing very well. And like
very well.
And like you said with iHeart, they gave him the balloon deal early. And he paid dividends. You could argue he was a big piece of them winning the championship. So, man, Sam Presti and those guys are clicking on all cylinders. But from the Clippers standpoint, what do you think there? Because, you have James Harden playing very well. But that team, Keith, I mean, going into the season, I was not moved by a single deal that they made. They became the oldest team in the league. That rarely works out for anybody in terms of championship contending. And now they are where they are. Then, again, not surprised. What do you think? Should they trade Harden, or what do you think Bomber goes right now?
Yeah, the Clippers are like my NBA blind spot. I am every year irrationally in on them for reasons only known to the broken parts of my brain. Because I thought they were going to be pretty good, and yeah, they're not. They've really struggled. Injuries obviously are a big part of it, but they're also old, right? They are very old. In a league where everybody's playing fast, they look old and they look slow at times. And you can really see it. As you said, shout out to James Harden, man. We're still going at a super productive level. And this year, without much around him most nights, he's kind of getting it. This almost feels like Rockets James Harden at a time where it's like he's getting it done with him and a big, and that's kind of it. So I don't know if I trade James Harden. I am probably, again, somebody makes me the right offer, sure. But I'm certainly in a spot where I'm just going to kind of, all right, what's out there? Where are we at? If it's the right kind of thing, all right, then let's make that move. I would certainly be listening on any other veterans. It's coming either this year or next year. They're going to really blow that team up. They're going to do a full restart. I'd put out my NBA projections for salary cap space. They're going to have probably somewhere around 40 to 50 million this coming year, maybe even a little bit more, or they could have in excess of 100 million if they delay 1 year. That would mean 2 down years where they don't have control of their pick. And everybody says, well, they can't tank. You're right. They can't intentionally just go out there and tank to better their draft pick, but you're also in a position where you can't change that. What's done is done. If the right thing is start trading guys and get a bunch of assets, make it happen that way.
Yeah, so certainly interesting there. CP3, this is that signing of right now, 2.5 points per game, 3.3 assists, and a 37.4 true shooting percentage. So he had a great career, but obviously Father Time is saying otherwise. It's time, and
he had all those DNPs,
yeah,
which we never saw he'd never had more than one in a row, and those were more on like rest kind of days and those kind of things. Now we're seeing him get we racked up, I want to say it was 5 in a row.
Wow.
DNP CDs, which then it's not like they are playing super duper stars in front of them. I mean, I like some of these other guys, but this was like, all right, Chris Dunn's going to get the run. Cam Christie is going to get this run instead. And, it does. I mean, it's so weird because he started 82 games and played really well for San Antonio. But, when it comes, man, and it comes very hard.
It's hard to see, man. That's one thing I ask a lot of the former players. It's like, man, how did you handle your career arc? Especially LJ. We talked about Larry Johnson. I asked LJ, like, bro, you were the number 1 pick. You were the king of the sport, and how did it feel to then have to leave the sport even early? So I mean, to see CP3 go out like that, I don't want to see LeBron going out like that, but that's what Father Time does, man. It's a humbling experience for these guys.
A million years ago, I wrote an article that was titled "It Doesn't End Well." Because it rarely does, right? We all want to think of MJ hitting that shot in Utah, but he had ended in a Wizards uniform, right, for him, and that was his own choice. But right? I mean, we've talked about it before. As a massive Patrick Ewing fan, like, boy, Patrick Ewing in a Magic uniform. There's that famous picture, him in a Magic uniform defending Akeem Olajuwon in the Raptors uniform. It's
brutal.
like, what? Like, let's just cut that off. That never happened. We end Basketball Reference, a couple years earlier, and we all, that's how we remember. But it rarely ends that way for these guys. Like Tim Duncan is kind of the last one to kind of walk out and say, all right, I'm kind of done, and ended it, still on a really good team and playing really well at a high level. But
sure,
it's tough.
Great point. I still, for some reason, I have Houston in my head when I think about these potential trades. We talked about LaMelo. I even like Harden, and Houston is just very interesting to me because great team, 3rd in the West right now, 2nd, 3rd. I believe they could be tied with Denver record-wise. They're boasting the number 1 offense in the sport. Of course, who would have guessed it when we're like, they need a point guard, and they seem to be doing just fine. But I still wonder, like, do they see themselves on that OKC level to really beat them in a 7-game series? They lost the season opener, but I'm not even counting that. But I do wonder if they're looking like, let's make our case even stronger by the deadline.
Yeah, I wonder with them if they are in a place where they don't want to change what makes them special by like trading, because I've seen people say like, all right, so you trade Van Vliet because that's just a big salary
contract
that's doing nothing for you. Then you trade, like, throw in Steven Adams. But Steven Adams is a huge part of what makes them special, because there's times when their offense is like, all right, we're going to run some Şengün stuff, we're going to run some KD stuff. Then the rest of it is just throw a shot up there. Not necessarily a bad shot, but throw a shot up there and then we'll go chase down the rebound. I mean, they're rebounding like 41% of their own misses, which is absolutely ridiculous and absurd. It's crazy. Like I know, for your a big part of your
Knicks
audience with Knicks fans, right? Mitchell Robinson, a tremendous offensive rebounder, but now imagine like what he does, then double it, right? Because that's like what the Rockets are doing, like night to night, because it's Adams, Şengün, Clint Capella, who plays like 7-8 minutes a game, goes out there and goes absolutely crazy. I mean, there is all kinds of stuff out there, man. This team is just so good.
Yeah, and it's not to say that fans were making fun of the fact that they have a very big front court, but that is helping them win the possession game, which is a big part of the game right now. Offensive rebounds are critical, and Dorian Finney-Smith hasn't even played yet. So that team is scary right now, man. They're looking good. I just wonder if what they try to do at the trade deadline to shore some things up. But like you said, you don't want to take away from your identity to do so. It's a tricky balance. It's a very tricky balance. I just wonder, like, okay, KD's handling the ball a lot. Him and Sengun, they have a prolific two-man game. Do they need one more guy? The point guard, like I said, do they need one more guy to take the pressure off both him and Sengun when it really matters in the playoffs? Like regular season, they'll be fine.
I wonder if they do that in a smaller way. Like instead of kind of the home run trade for like LaMelo or Harden or somebody, do that in a slightly smaller way. Like just, and I don't necessarily have even a name for this, but just go get, somebody who makes like 15 million. That's a little bit more acquirable that you can just plug in there and do your thing. And, and I'll give credit where credit is due. Reed Shepherd is playing pretty good for them right now after a slow start. Obviously, rookie year didn't really do much of anything. And then a slow start to this year, he's starting to really step up in a big way. And I think it's just because they're just kind of telling him, hey, go out there and be you, man. Go out there and shoot. Like, do your thing. And it's funny because it reminds me a lot of Peyton Pritchard with Boston, where Peyton Pritchard, slow start, then just kind of fell out. And then eventually was like, just go out there and shoot, be a scorer, and do your thing and play hard. And now, both of those guys are having a lot of success.
Bloom. Yeah, that's exactly what I thought for Shepherd. To me, he was the guy that was going to swing things in an upward trajectory for them based on everything that they had. And he's been flourishing so far. So definitely give credit to him. And so, we talk about the Hornets, we talk about the Clippers, and for you who crunches the numbers and covers everything extensively for Spot Track and the front office show, what do you think when you think about so many of these rebuilding situations? We just had the fallout in Dallas with Nico Harrison being shown the door and Mark Cuban throwing him under the bus, and I didn't want him to make the Melo trade. So what do you think about when you think about like your top 5 worst rebuilding situations right now?
Yeah, Dallas would be way up there, and that's really hard to do when you have Cooper Flag as a rookie on your team. But it's because they have to be so careful with what comes next. They are wildly expensive, and not only are they expensive right now, but they project to be really expensive into next year. When I did those, like I said, I did my projections for 2026 spending power. Cavs are, as currently structured, miles over the second apron. It's not even close. There's a whole bunch of teams that are going to be dancing around the second apron. But the other team that right now projects to certainly be over the second apron, the Dallas Mavericks. You can't be this bad and be a second apron team. I don't care if it's injuries and whatever else it is. Like, it just can't happen. So there's going to be something that has to happen there. But when you start looking at it, it's like, all right, well, if you do an AD trade or a Kyrie trade, those are massive trades, and you got to get them right. You have to nail it. You got to get back assets. You got to get back guys who are going to be, players who can actually help you. But if you don't do that, then you start looking around. Who has a lot of trade value on that roster?
Right.
Daniel Gafford probably does. PJ Washington can't be traded right now, but in the offseason, he'd have value. But how much value does Klay Thompson have? Not a huge contract, but not a good contract. Caleb Bard in that trade, I mean, as bad as the AD Luka trade was, the Caleb Martin Quentin Grimes trade was a complete absolute disaster. Just completely awful. So yeah, it's rough. I mean, Dallas is up there for sure as one of the teams that just it's not in a good place right now. But I hope when the new GM comes in, whoever it's going to be, says, you know what, I can't undo the trade. I can't go back to the league and say, hey, can we rewind and give us Luka back? Yeah. So now you got to really look at it and say, let's just move forward. If he's given permission, move AD, move Kyrie, and just kind of go forward with that.
Yeah, I certainly agree with you there on Dallas. Who would you think is the worst? Suns? Kings?
Kings are up there, man. That is
Kings.
It's bad with the Kings. And unfortunately, we have decades of track record that they're just not going to get it right. And it's now we're multiple front offices, and I think this is all starts at the top. I think Vivek Ranadive needs to, whoever he hires, right now it's Scott Perry. And if it's Scott Perry, just let them do their job. Stay out of it. Like, you hired these people, stay out of it. Because what you have done resulted in that one really fun playoff team that we all loved, the light the beam and everything else, and we had a blast with it. But that's it. That's all you had. Like, you haven't done anything since then. So I'm in a spot where it's tough. I mean, and talk about bad contracts that, like, their best hope might honestly be wait some of these out and see what happens. Just kind of let Zach LaVine's deal expire. Let DeMar DeRozan's deal run its course. Let Domantas Sabonis' deal run its course. But I don't think that's going to be what happens. I don't have any faith that they're going to kind of handle things with a patience level. I think they're going to try, again, let's move some of these guys, but let's do it in a way where we're bringing other guys in and try this quick fix again. And I just don't think we're going to get there.
That's all they do is just throw lipstick on a pig, and it's gotten them nowhere fast. I mean, literally. But, with the Sabonis, you said something interesting. You said let his deal expire. What about trading him, potentially? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I would be all for it. There's a couple questions, right? And let's take his current injury out of the mix because he's out for a few weeks here. But taking that out of the mix, he's a tough guy because he's a 5 who doesn't protect the rim.
Doesn't play defense.
Yes, you can have the right players around him to put it in that to put him in a position to be as successful as you want him to be. So that's part one. And then from there, what happens with Sabonis is you got to put him in a place where he's going to actually be able to have the ball for you and can kind of be a facilitator. Because I think his best offensive skill is his passing. I think he is, when I say he's like Jokic light as a passer, I really mean it. Like, Jokic is the best big man passer we have going, but Sabonis is a guy you can run things through. So I think you have to be really open to the idea of, all right, we're going to run it through him a lot, but finding that right defensive mix around him, somebody who can offer rim protection and the like, that's where it gets tough. And it's a big number, right? You're talking close to $50 million, the rest of the way for him on this current deal. That's a big number to for a team to lock into unless they're really, really certain, all right, this is the guy we can build everything with moving forward.
How about the Phoenix Suns here? We talked about Bradley Beal. They stretched that contract. Don't own much of their draft capital. It's tied up damn near the rest of the decade. They give Book the crazy deal, and again with Devin Booker, I don't know what his motivations are. Get the bag for sure, but I don't understand how you tie yourself to that. Where are the Suns looking at right now, man?
Yeah, they're playing pretty well right now this year. I think for the Suns, it's, again, let's be patient. Let's give this group, as you have them, a little bit of time. Let's not, all right, hey, they're playing pretty good, because I've seen a bunch of people say they should go get AD. But that's just redoing what you just did that didn't work, right? And now, if you're giving up just matching salary to go get them, all right, I'm not going to complain too much about it, but let's not chase superstars just because they're superstars. Let's build a team. I think they're finally moving in a direction of, let's build a team that makes some sense. I'll tell you this, they're a lot more fun to watch this year than they were any time over the last couple of seasons. I just think, this group is playing really hard. I think they have committed to playing some defense, which is fun. Done a lot of it without Jalen Green. Let's see what that looks like when he gets back. But yeah, the Suns are there. I would offer up, it's hard because they're doing everything right cap-wise, but the Nets drafted 5 players in the first round, and Yegor Jemin's the only. All right, Drake Powell is starting to come on too, but like Danny Wolf, Nolan Traore, Ben Saroff, none of those guys are playing. They're all in the G League. Wow. I know it's early. We're not even a quarter of the way into the season, but like, it's not like there's world beaters in front of them that they're having to beat out for time. Yeah. Like, I'm not exactly sure what we're doing with the Nets. It's not bad because they did get some of their picks back. They're in a little bit better shape there. Their cap situation is really, really great moving forward, but it's pretty tough right now in Brooklyn. So
we said Kings, Suns. Do you put the Nets third? Pelicans? What do you put third?
Yeah, I would probably put the Pelicans are rough too. Yeah, we haven't really talked about them. I mean, Pelicans could have had in this draft their own pick and Indiana's pick. Like, they wouldn't have Derek Queen, who I like.
Right. Hey, 30 points the other day. Jokic has been high on him. Tim Duncan.
Yeah.
I was doing Derek NBA Queen's radio with Rob Perez. He said Tim Duncan called Antonio Daniels about Derek Queen.
I
today.
like
This kid's
Derek
good.
Queen. I got to see him play a lot in high school because I live right down the road from Montverde Academy, and he went there. So, just if people don't know, Derek Queen, Cooper Flagg, Liam McNeely, and Asa Newell, who's on the Hawks, all on the same high school team. Like, just that's how loaded that group was. And then they had two other guards that are playing high level college basketball. They had 6 starters and just rotated one guy to the bench each year. But that team was absolutely loaded. So I've liked Derek Queen for a while now since he was in high school. But I don't know. Give me your own pick in the Pacers pick. I think probably over him. But yeah, it's tough. I mean, we're just in a spot where this is rough, man. It is just a place of, their cap sheet's still real messy. Their front office structure is not great. If we build it out even further, like the arena situation is bad. Fan support has really fallen off. Like there's not a whole lot other than Derek Queen and Jeremiah Fears to get excited about in New Orleans right now.
Yeah, not at all. It's funny. ESPN had the Bulls in their top list. Bulls look like they're
I'm okay with them.
Clicking on all cylinders right now, man.
Yep.
You can't put Arturs and those guys under the bus. Bulls and Billy have something strong going there. So we said Kings, Suns, with Mavs. Where you put Mavs in your top
Mavs
5?
probably down in there.
Mavs?
Someone's gonna say like, what about the Wizards? But I'll tell you, with the Wizards, they stink. Like they are terrible, but it's all by design, right? This is the class. This is, if you look at any team that has taken a page out of the Thunder's playbook, it's the Wizards, and no surprise, most of their front office came from Oklahoma City. So we're in a position where they're bad, but it's give us your veterans you don't want anymore. Send them with some draft picks, and we'll just kind of stockpile some picks. We'll play them for a little while around our kids, and then we'll play the kids even more. We're going to lose a lot. So it's so funny. I tell you, whenever I talk to anybody who's a Wizards fan, they all say the same thing. They're like, this is way better than being like the 9th or 10th team in the play-in tournament every single year. They're like, I like all of our young players. They're really fun to watch. They do young player things. Like sometimes there's some crazy stuff that happens in a Wizards game, but I'm not going to put them there because this is all intentional for them. Nets is intentional, but the Nets had 5 first-round picks that didn't necessarily, we'll give it time. Maybe they do end up panning out, but that's why I would put them down there. But yeah, I would say, all right, so we got the Kings in there for sure. Pelicans, Mavs probably going to be in that list. I think Suns should probably be there. Suns, yeah, maybe-ish. They're probably more towards the bottom of that 5 group, but yeah, it's somewhere in that range.
How about Utah? They've got Ace. Maybe they're angling for a frozen envelope for AJ. I wouldn't doubt it. They're always dangling the marketing trade. Maybe he gets traded this year. I'm still looking at Detroit to make a blockbuster. I think they're going to sneak up on us. What do you think about Utah, man? They're always there.
Yeah, Utah is one where we're going to run out of patience here kind of soon. They did in the first part of their rebuild. They kind of pulled the rug out from under the team. And remember, those first couple years, they were pretty good. They were like competing for spots in the play-in tournament. And then it was, this isn't what we want. Bench all the vet guys, marketing now. I'm not saying his back issue wasn't completely made up, but I think there might have been a little, he could probably play, but no, sit out because we'd rather lose games for draft position. Last year they were just straight bad, and then this year it's tough because when you look, you're like, 10th in the West, they must be okay. Well, the bottom of the Western Conference has not been very good this year, despite I think what we all thought kind of coming in. So, Utah's one where I want to see what they do. I mean, again, good cap situation. They got 1 million young guys on that team. One I'll offer up, Memphis, just because of all the uncertainty with John Morant. What is going to happen there?
Yeah.
What would a John Morant trade even look like? And then I'll put the Clippers out there too, just because this might be very short-term bad, but banking on, we're the Clippers and millions upon millions of dollars in cap space. Yeah, maybe that ends up fine, but maybe that doesn't go the way you want it to go. I mean, it didn't really right with Kawhi Leonard and Paul George when they built that team around a ton of cap space. It hasn't, gone the way they wanted there. So I'll offer them up as well as things aren't going so great.
Yeah, certainly not. And then
but they're not rebuilding, so that's not really necessarily fair there. So.
Right. And then you have, teams that are rebuilding that are having some early success. We talked about Chicago. They're playing fantastic. They just had the buzzer beater against a tough Portland team. They beat Denver on the road. How about the Raptors? So many people, we had questions. What are they doing with the Ingram thing? How is Barnes and Ingram and RJ going to work? And here they are, second in the East or wherever they are. They're playing very good basketball, man.
Yeah, they really are. I mean, I think with RJ Barrett, we finally landed on, he's a little overpaid for this, but fourth option, RJ Barrett is pretty good, right? As a fourth guy who can just be a real good connector. He's such a smart basketball player, can do a lot of really good things that, all right, we're running stuff through Barnes and Ingram and quickly, but when you get it, shoot, pass, dribble, get us into the next thing. Fine, guys. And then he's playing really good defense. They play really hard. Jakob Poeltl is good. I think they're running good stuff from the sense of Darko Rajakovic has, all right, our whole thing's going to be let's hound guys on the perimeter and funnel everything to Poeltl inside with Barnes kind of coming around. Scotty Barnes he's becoming an absolute monster now, like an all-around monster. So, yeah, that's a fun Raptors team. I don't think they're going anywhere anytime soon.
Yeah, it's fun. When we were in Vegas for Summer League at SBC and I ran into Rowan Sr., he's very happy with RJ's role in Darko's offense, and he feel like he's found a fit there. Whereas with the Knicks and Tibbs, it was a little bit questionable, and another year of growth and maturity for RJ as well. So I'm always rooting for his success, and he looks good.
It's hard, right? Because that kid was anointed as, right, there was all the,
Number
it was
3.
Andrew Wiggins was Maple Jordan first, but then it was Maple Jordan for RJ too. And again, another kid I saw at Montverde, and gym was packed every night because it was like, all right, this kid's the guy in the league, and he's going to, and then he went to Duke and he was kind of okay. And then I think, it's hard with the Knicks. If you don't come in and produce pretty quickly, people are not going to be super thrilled with you there. And he had moments for sure, but I think now, I think he's now found his ideal role. Like you can't build your team around RJ Barrett. He's not that player, but if he's your fourth best player, you're probably in pretty good shape. Or at least he might be your third best player, but like your fourth offensive option, like that you're probably going to be pretty good. And that's what's proven out to be with Toronto right now.
For sure. Also this week, as I mentioned with Detroit, a lot of people are throwing names in that direction. They're number 1 in the East right now. Go get marketing. You're hearing AD. This past summer I talked about, hey, is it a Zion situation? What do you think? If you're looking at, if you're Trace and Langdon right now, you got Cade playing at an MVP level. You got Duren playing at all NBA MIP level. What do you think they do there?
Well, what's exciting if I'm a Pistons fan is we won a bunch of the games in this win streak with none of our guys. Like a bunch of these, like literally it was two-way players. And Dennis Jenkins, shout out to him, St. John's guy playing on the two-way, has been incredible and played great for them. So he's been really, really good. So I think we're in a spot with them where let's kind of, let's see what we got. And I know ownership in the front office kind of came out and said, we're not in a rush to do anything. We want to see what we have. I don't know if you've seen this in their last season, we're season plus of them being good, right? They were good last year and this year. They thought their ideal starting lineup would be Cade Cunningham, Tobias Harris, Jalen Duren, Asar Thompson, and Jaden Ivey. That 5 have not played a single game together in a year plus. So, like, that tells you, like, hey, we were good last year, and we're getting there. And people were like, how did they not play together last year? Well, when Ivy went out, that's when Thompson came back because Thompson missed first part of last season. So, yeah, they've not played it all together. So, I would be patient if I'm them, too. If a deal falls in my lap where it's like, all right, the asking price came way down. But as far as, like, I've seen, part of it is you want marketing, right? If that's where it's going to go, or AD, talking guys who make in the high 40s, in the 50s. Pay. Yeah, Tobias Harris has to be in that deal, plus Ivy, plus probably one of Thompson or Holland. Then are you going to throw in draft picks on top of that too? I'm probably not. I'm probably going to say, no, I like what we have. I'd rather run it out with this a little. Do I think they're the best team in the East? No, I don't think so. I think that's Cleveland or New York. And I think the Cavs and Knicks they've had some injuries early on. They're gone through it a little bit, but I think they're also both have kind of realized we probably don't need to push for every single regular season win. We've done that over the last couple of years, and it didn't get us where we ultimately wanted to go. So I think you're seeing them kind of managing the regular season. but I think Detroit is good enough where it is. We don't need to go all in right now. Let's see what we have if hopefully we get all these guys together and we play it out. Then we can start making moves on what we want to do next.
There you go, man. Anything coming up in the coming days on Spot Track, front office? What are you guys working on, man? You're never not working, Keith. That's why I admire about you, man.
We're always going. So we'll have I got a piece gonna come up probably next week. As you know, content, we tend to avoid dropping a lot of great content in a holiday weeks. People are traveling, people aren't looking for it, but we'll have something for you there. Front off show, we'll have our shows, we'll have our regular weekly live show at some point around traveling. So if you need to escape family time for a little bit, we'll be here for you with that. But I think probably my next big thing will be this Thunder piece that I'm writing, and then at the end of the month, beginning part of December, we're about 2 weeks out from trade season unofficially opening, so we'll have some early trade preview stuff going out, guys who could be traded, what teams might be looking to do, those kind of things. I'll say this for anybody who says, man, it's really early. Every year now, over the last 6 years, we have had like I call it an early trade, which is sometime in mid to late December. Every single year we get one. The Knicks did one with OG Anunoby a couple years ago. So
that was a New Year's Day blockbuster.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
if it seems early, it is. The bulk of stuff comes into January, the beginning of February, they're ahead of the trade deadline once we get in trade deadline week. But there will be action that happens. And the leagues, the Thunder are their own thing. But outside of the Thunder, the league's pretty open. The East is very open. I think we're going to have a lot of trade movement this year.
Wow. Wide open and a lot of fun to talk about and fun to talk with you, man. Thanks again for the time.
I appreciate it.
Make sure you guys are following Keith at Keith Smith NBA on Twitter, X, very easy, as well as Spot Track and the Front Office Show with our guy Trevor Lane. Remember that these shows are available in audio podcast format, and we'll see you guys next Friday, man, for another edition of NBA Weekly. Also, obviously, you guys can tune in with us on Knicks Fan TV, and we'll be here, man. Great show, everybody. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.